Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back for some more R&R. So I want to answer a few questions. Got a few questions about yesterday's video in regards to the dismantling of the fencing. How do I take it apart? What the best method that I use? What kind of tools do I use? Also, I had some questions about am I using pallet wood? Is this pallet wood? I don't really use pallet wood. I'll just be honest. I don't. It's a whole lot of effort for not much material. At least for me, for the project that I use it for, it's not really worth it for me to do the pallets. I kind of save that for the craftier people, have a little more patience than I do. I like to do the fencing, the wooden fencing. I do privacy fencing. I also do split rail fencing. People that'll throw away their split rail fencing, I'll turn that into benches and stuff. Maybe I'll show a video of that, of a bench or something that I've made over the years. But all different kinds of that, and I think you get the most bang for your buck for materials, and a lot of times that materials is still in good shape. You'll run into situations where, like I mentioned previously, where hopefully this is in the frame, but you'll have some rot on the end, but you can always cut it off right about here, and that still gives you this much to use. This was obviously the length off of another piece that I already cut. And I can use this for all sorts of other things. The wooden flower projects that we do a lot of birdhouses, planter boxes, a number of different things that this is still, good use for it. Also, again, when you're getting this stuff from your fence companies, they're getting paid to tear this stuff out, put the new stuff out, usually by the hour, by the job, that kind of thing. So they're in a hurry, they're not taking their time. So, sometimes, they might break some boards. You see right here where they've cut, they'll go through and they'll actually cut down in between and cut these braces. They'll cut the braces in two with the Sawzall, and that way, they'll take them apart. And that's what you've seen stacked up here in the yard was some of those sections of wooden fencing. Again, this right here, you can still, but I don't throw these away because I can cut this off and still have a good usable piece here. If I'm doing birdhouses, for instance, 12-inch piece is really all that I need. 16 inches at the most if I want to make a back out of it. But again, this is some good material. The stock that I got in this time, it's 3/4 inch thick. I think they're about 6 inches. So almost 6 inches, like 5 3/4, dimensional lumber these days. But they are treated. So many uses for those. And again, you're prying the boards off these back ledgers or braces or whatever you want to call them. And I save all these. This is actually a blank. You can see it's beveled on both ends. I keep these, I'll stack them up, and I make sawhorses. So these 2x4 pieces here will get made into, a lot of them will get made into sawhorses. They'll get used in other projects like the braces for the raised beds, different things like that. But also, a lot of them I make into sawhorses because there's a lot of contractors around. And, I can make up a batch of sawhorses very easily using this reclaimed lumber. And it's a quick, easy seller, especially on Marketplace. But again, save the back pieces as well. And as far as tearing them apart, it all depends on how they're made. Obviously, if you see this nail here, this is a ring shank nail versus something like this. This is just your smooth, common nails, shot through an air nailer. These are obviously a lot easier to pull out than these, but even these, they're not horrible, Not horrible to process a piece of wood. And then, I like to use a leverage board to pop these things out. And they're not hard to pull out, but when you're doing a number of these in a day, it kind of makes it easier. But again, simple hammer, piece of leverage there, As far as taking the panels themselves apart, obviously I've got a bigger, this is an old East Wing hammer. This was actually one of my daddy's old hammers. And I've had it for years, and he had it for years and years before me. But it's been through the ringer. You can see the waffling's gone off the end. And I still use it, but, honestly, this is a Harbor Freight special, Pittsburgh. Lifetime warranty. This pry bar is a Harbor Freight. Pry bar, cats. These are lifetime warranty tools. So if I'm using this and I break this, I take it back. They give me a brand new one. No questions asked. If I break this, I take it back, no questions asked. Nothing fancy. I'm not using anything fancy. The only reason I have this bigger one here is just because it's a sentimental to me. It was my dad's, and I like to use it. But as far as that goes, it doesn't take fancy tools to do this kind of stuff. As far as the nails go, I like to take the nails. I use this little Tide. I'll get you out of the stand here. I know I had a couple questions people ask about the work table itself, this pallet table. As you can see, this Tide container, it's full of nails. I'll dump these containers here into here, and then I'll put these in a 5-gallon bucket when I go to the scrap yard and do a scrap run. That's easy scrap metal. I mean, you can have 100 pounds of scrap metal right there in a 5-gallon bucket. You know, it depends on your local scrap yard. Some of them won't take that kind of thing, but our local one does. These little containers here are great too. These will fit right in between these pallet things. You can use them for all kinds of your nails, fasteners, screws, whatever you want to use them for. Also underneath here, I keep this is just a plant tray, old plant tray that had some holes in it. I use it to catch extra nails. Keeps them from falling onto the ground. This is a super simple setup here. Again, this is nothing but pallets. Very simple. This pallet here is the same as this pallet over here, but it's just turned in reverse. And the reason why I have it, this side over here is more or less, this is my, you know, denailing side or take apart side, deconstruction side, whatever you want to call it. Boards will fit in this gap right here. I can hammer the nails out, process it there. This side over here with the smaller gaps, I use it more for assembling stuff. And that's just what I use it for. And again, these are just pallets. That's all they are. They're just pallets. I know I had somebody ask a question about, you know, what was my table? How was it made? And it's 2 frames. One's an old metal table frame, old wooden patio table frame. I made them to the same height. That's what I use. I process all my materials. Then I try to store it as best I can. Like right here, you know, we've got, obviously I've already went through all the lumber that, or the stock that we had. So this is, you know, 8-foot long boards. There's some 6-foot long ones back here. These are my offcuts. Again, you know, you end up with a lot of offcuts, but I don't throw them away because I use them. All this is 2x4 stock, more 2x4 stock. Got some 4x4s back there. The stuff over here, this is a lot of smaller stuff. And again, a lot of this stuff will get used into the, you know, the smaller side of things, the cutesier items, the wooden flowers, stuff like that. A lot of this is going to be the sawhorse stock. So I use, again, make a lot of sawhorses. That is a good seller. You can build sawhorses, you know, whip you up 2 or 3 pairs and post them, and they sell really well. I do have some bigger items here, some posts, some split rail fence items over there, just a few more split rail fence stuff here. Again, this is just some plywood storage. In this background here, this is leaf storage from the chickens, obviously, from the compost. But again, nothing at all fancy in this setup. You can make it to suit however you want. As far as disposing of the stuff, I don't really recommend burning this because you're going to end up with problems. You know, it's treated lumber. You obviously don't want to end up, you know, chemicals and stuff like that. I don't usually burn mine. I'll haul it to the local transfer station. Some of the materials that we get, you know, that aren't that way, I will burn them. But again, you know, this is super simple setup, and it works. It's very convenient, and you can find this stuff. Like I said, you know, talk to your local fence, you know, your fence contractors, fence companies. Also, just driving around neighborhoods, a lot of times you'll see stuff sitting out there. And sometimes, you know, just to be quite honest, you know, there's sometimes that I don't even process the stuff. I will actually get the material, I'll pick it up, I'll cut it into some links, I'll cut the rod off the bottom if there is any, and I'll repost it as dimensional fencing. And it sells just fine that way. You get people that want a simple privacy fence, do a small little dog run or something like that, and that's another option. But anyways, I just want to hop on here. I know I had a couple questions, people asking. Wind's getting up here again. But yeah, hopefully that answers them. Again, nothing fancy. Hope you guys have a good day.